Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the CVO Life. It's my pleasure to meet again with Steen from IIH Nordic.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect to be here. So it's only been 5 years since this is last time, and in the exact same space. So it's
we moved the angle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Different angle.
Yeah.
We were there that time. All right. So Steen, why don't you tell us what excites you in the in this digital marketing arena nowadays?
Yeah.
Last time when we talked, we were chatting about the leadership mentalities. We were chatting about using the data to make decisions. Do you think something has changed in the?
It's a naughty question in the sense that it has been like we talked about a long time since we were here last time, and a lot of the stuff we talked about last time is still really an issue. There's still a lot of the things where I kind of have like Groundhog Day when I wake up saying nothing's changed, exactly the same thing going on again. But I still see signals. I see more people doing presentations on this and more people actually talking about the serious side of business and online. Is it dominant? Absolutely not. It's still a lot of the same problems that goes on in relation to not thinking, combining business and data. So it's really still saying the two worst silos we have when it comes to online is actually that data and business are two separate silos. Right? So it's like
they communicate very hard with the between them.
Yeah.
One aspect which I still find fascinating is that the business is seeing the data team as an instrument, as a tool for their desires, for their questions, and for their inquiries.
Yeah.
No problem. You can join.
No Patco?
No, he had to go.
He just pinged me. But...
Okay, he was sitting out there.
Okay.
So you won't have to. No.
What was I saying?
So we're business.
The business and the. So what's fascinating is that the business is looking at the data teams as an instrument, as a tool, and they have all these inquiries, these reports, these freaking reports, which are driving me nuts, which are not having any kind of actions after it. And on the other hand, the data team is obeying what the business is asking for, and they are producing these crazy reports and inquiries. And why do you think this is happening? At some point, it looks like an abusive husband is doing whatever he pleases to his wife.
I think in a lot of cases, it is like we talked about two different silos. It's like, imagine us doing this session and you spoke Romanian, I answered in Danish when I guessed what you were asking.
But you can do that. Let me ask you something in Romanian.
Okay, and I will answer in Danish.
Exactly, yeah. Ce crezi că este cel mai important pe lume?
Jeg tror, problemet i virkeligheden løses bedst ved at se det fra en anden side, og det afhænger meget af, hvad du har tænkt dig at gøre ved det.
So I asked you, what's the most important thing on this world? What have you responded?
So actually, I think I had a okay reply in the sense of, I think it depends on the perception of the problem. It depends on what thing you're actually trying to solve. So yes, I was answering, I was guessing what you were asking, and it wasn't off, but doing the entire session like that would have been
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And we could even do it on a reporting sheet, so I would, you would tell me in Romanian, and I would try to give you a slide or some numbers showing that, right? And I think that's the problem. I've been doing sessions since last time, and it's something I started more aggressively doing last year, having sessions, one for management called Asking Better Questions, and one for the data teams is called Giving Better Answers.
Yeah.
So kind of going in and saying it's very much like I just saw a session here from Maria from Google, where we're talking about the alignment of having a common language, and it's really about not having that common language. We've been doing digital online marketing and working with data for 25 years now, and there's still not a common language between the business side and the data side. Yeah. And I think that that is a huge problem. And even if you go to my hypothesis is even if you go to the BI side, they will still not be able to do that, give the answers. So you still have this lack of communication.
Yeah. One aspect that I want to address, Steen, you know that I'm obsessed with customer lifetime value, customer centricity, whatever. Let me share you something that it was like an aha moment for me. I've been having this conversation with retail companies, leaders, and all sorts of people. And while they are being very enthusiastic about it, my perception is that even though they get it, they don't do anything about it. And it's very hard to change a culture, even though you have like an internal champion and someone which gets it. Even if the CEO which gets it, it's so hard to shift the culture and the approach towards data and to become customer centric, because we're coming from from an age where digital transformation meant let's get rid of the paper, which it's part of it, but digital transformation it has other components. I mean, my perspective about it is that even though we are changing and we can see light at the end of the tunnel, this transition it's taking a lot of time, and I think it has a lot to do and. Maybe you can share if you feel the same. It has a lot to do with people, experts, shamans, as you call them, right? You have this great thing which I stole for you from last time when we met in Brussels. Like you have the shamans which get it, you know, they are in depth there, but if they continue to be abused, let's say, by companies which are not truly data driven, which are not appreciating their opinions, and if they are not simply quitting, and if they are not simply quitting their jobs, they will not go to companies where they can produce change. What's your take on that?
I think the change process is actually a really important thing in it. So I've been so different. Let me start with one thing, because one of the things I've been pushing has been this talk about digital maturity. Yeah, and what annoys the hell out of me is every time I see a digital maturity model as something static. So you get these curves saying, yeah, okay, you're on this line, the goal is here, when you're up here, you won, you get the cake and the hat and the t-shirt, and then you're digitally mature. But the problem is you cannot have a linear model for a moving target. Yeah. Because what is digitally mature expands all the time and it grows all the time. So if people have a linear way of saying, okay, I've done the checklist. I just need one. Cool. I checked the last thing. It's all good. I can now done digital mature, move on to the next project. Yeah. It's a mentality and it's a change project. Yeah. So in that sense, it requires the mindset. But if you have people trying to solve it like a linear problem, so they're not trying to change the mindset, they're just trying to change the model. Yeah. Then the problem will not be solved. It might be, sure, you're catching up temporarily, but the moment you think you're done, then the world moves on and you're no longer mature. Yeah. So having this as saying this is a much more mentality shift than it's anything else. Yeah. One aspect about being digitally mature, I think it has a lot to do with the context of the data that you're looking at, because I've seen many companies thinking that they are data-driven. I even analyzed this for writing my book, and I found the statistics that only 26% of the companies do most of their decisions backed by data, which is unheard of. But, I mean, I haven't felt like this was the case, but it's so bad. And I think the business, let's say the business component of the companies lack the context, and they are not even using the same terms. I mean, you say customer lifetime value, you say whatever metric, conversion rate. I think it should be some sort of a dictionary, so that in this company, when you get, that's what this means, you know, just to state this is the metric, that's how you measure it, that's what it means, and that's the context of this metric. And I see few companies doing this. Yeah, but I think it's really essential in the sense that it's a lot of the core infrastructure that people just take for granted, because what is a user? What is a visitor, right? Well, what some of these core what is a page view,
Yeah.
right? So going in and saying how do we break these things down to the shared language? If we define math differently, how can we ever solve any equations to the same way if we have different numbers?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so it would be kind of the same challenge, but these are the fundamental building blocks, and if they're not aligned, then we're trying to build something on top of a very weak foundation.
Yeah.
And I think it actually goes back to the stuff you talked about before about the shamans or the champions in the organization, because from my point, the biggest barrier to digital transformation and to actually being data driven and all this is lack of consistency. So somebody uses your tool, they buy it, they set it up, somebody loves it in the organization, they invest a lot of money getting up and running, and then after 2 years, 3 years, that person leaves. And somebody else comes in and they love another product and they have another way of thinking. They come in and they see your tool and they say, what the fuck is this? Get rid of that shit.
Yeah,
we're going to start over. And then all the thinking and all the investment that has
progress is gone.
All the progress is gone because somebody has another philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the curse we're living under right now, in the sense that old geezers like me and some of the other ones, maybe even you, young and handsome as you are, but we come from a ragtag bunch of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So we don't have a common denominator. So I will build up something, but most likely I will not leave clear enough instructions for the next guy to take over.
Yeah.
So he won't know what I built. So he will come in and try to build his own thing, because leaving his own legacy and tearing down my pyramids so he can build his own. And the only one that suffers from this is the business, because they can never be data driven, because they will never have historical data that matches the context.
Yeah.
Right? So they will always be resetting.
Who do you think should be taking care about this aspect? Is there a function? Is there someone within the org chart which they are missing to be able to transfer this type of knowledge? Because it's what you're telling, I completely agree, and I think it's happening in the politics as well. You know, we have another prime minister, we have another prime minister, we have another one, and basically we keep on building startups instead of building a monolith, a great project that can survive the time.
Yeah, so I know Lego, they're trying to change their entire internal culture to be data oriented, and they actually have let's see if I can remember his entire title, Director of Data Strategy, Ethics and Community. So it sounds complex, it's a lot of moving components, but in reality, there's the community side in the sense that we need to make sure that everybody in the organization is aligned. They need to be aligned around an ethical thinking in relation to how we use the data. And based on that, you can define the strategy of data around that. And if you have that as like your center of gravity in the organization that everybody can operate from, then you might be able to do it. Yeah, because otherwise, even a CEO will change. Everybody will change. You need this center of digital gravity. I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. I wanna share an anecdote with you from a company. I was speaking with the head of innovation from a huge retailer, a huge European retailer, Aldi. And we were discussing about this, that, and the other. It was a very good conversation. And at some point, I asked him, what is your main challenge? What was his main challenge was to get rid of the faxes, the fax machine. Yeah. So mainly we are having all these huge companies which they feel like they are data driven, but their vendors, their suppliers still use the fax machine to
Yeah.
send orders and vice versa.
Yeah. I think it's an amazing aspect of it because, right, when we talk about digital maturity, we're thinking very much in digital marketing and that side.
Yeah.
But I think what I see when I put on my wider spectacles and wide angle lenses and look at the company, everybody in the organization uses data to one extent, right?
Yeah.
So, but they use different platforms and different definition, and then suddenly you're back to this, that things are not in balance. You will have some departments. So you say, we are very digital, mature, and data-driven in this department.
Yeah.
But this department sucks, right? So,
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
yeah, you will be famous now. So what's your name?
Right.
Yeah. So you can do like a cut out of this.
Yeah,
like,
Flo will take care of that
Yeah.
because he saw Nika multiple times yesterday as well. All right.
Okay, but so having this saying different types of the organization, so you go in and normally would you say, are we digital mature? And then you look at the data cycle, saying you the sales process or the marketing.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of the business?
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend of mine who was working for, of all unsexy things, it was a while back, a Scandinavian tobacco company.
Yeah.
And they were producing cigarettes, and he was like, well, sure, this online marketing stuff is fine, but if we can remove 0.01 gram from the packaging, they will save €1 million a year. So sometimes, yeah, sure, we can increase the conversion rate, but if it's just like a little tiny thing on the package, massive extra bottom line, yeah. But we're just so focused, and sometimes we seem to think that a company have never thought about data until we entered,
Yeah.
right? But it's just what we define as data. They haven't thought about. They have other data. It's not, the CFO, does he have any data? The warehouse manager or the production line, do they measure numbers and do stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I wanna build a bit on this after.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Sorry, we wanted through.
No. We didn't put up a sign on the door, so it's like.
So obviously you want to have some interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
To catch up.
So we're doing like we're gonna have a cutout version. So the bloopers reel.
We have you there. I'll send you because we'll put you there.
I think you're like the only ladies coming here.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so I wanna change gears a bit towards this disease, let's say, that most of the companies are suffering from, which is they have this chaotic reporting, which is not aligned to the greater good of their organization. Nobody's cleaning up the mess over there, and usually they are driven by powerful leaders, which are really determined, but they can't understand data. And basically they have charisma, they have knowledge on how to persuade the others, because that's how they become the CEOs and the leaders within the organizations. But how do you see this changing from now onwards?
I think part of it has been our fault, and because kind of what I talked about yesterday with my slide, saying that we have tried to say you can track anything, and then you can get the answers to anything, and then they say, okay, I want that. Right? But the problem is that then if we try to track everything, then we have to maintain everything, and then there's no time for actually doing anything with the data. And since they don't know what to ask, then all this investment in data gathering is just wasted.
Yeah.
Right? So you have this. Yeah. So instead of focusing on gathering more data, it's really about flipping it to the thinking, to the powerful, charismatic people, saying, what decisions are you trying to make?
Yeah.
And okay, cool. Do I have that data? Can I support that decision? And then pushing that. So instead of tracking everything, then tracking what decisions are you trying to make with your company?
Yeah.
Do you have that data? right? So you have so much data, you're king of tracking, right? So, but do you have the data you need to make the decisions that you need to make, or do you have a lot of random data around that, so that could be like, circumstantial data that might indicate that there might be something in this decision, or have you actually done a setup that focuses on the decisions that you need to make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've sparked my interest in some direction, which is around if the data team is about providing the answers, but they don't know how to ask back the right questions to the business decision makers, I think that company is screwed, because the decisions, I think the decision making process is the thing that the company should optimize first.
Yeah.
How we make decisions, because that's making the destiny A or B for a company.
This is really the big change. So since we saw each other last time, the biggest change in my world has been this change in focus from data to decision. Mm-hmm. So I think because data is good, but data doesn't change anything. We can gather all the data in the world, but why?
Yeah.
What is it supposed to do, right? And then it's kind of... So having this saying, so what would you rather have, all the data in the world and not knowing what to do with it, or having an itty bitty tiny data set that exactly supports one decision?
Yeah. If we are to do like a metaphor, is like you wanna let's say become healthier.
Yeah.
Reading all the books about how to sleep, how to eat, how to whatever is not going to make you healthier. And there are many companies which are trapped into collecting all the data, having this huge infrastructure. But at the end of the day, the actions are not that good, because I'm a strongly believer in this. Having the right question, then you have the data, the information, but what's the action? And there are many companies which are not acting enough on the data. And in order to act, of course, you need to make decisions, which, if they are better informed, they will lead to more progress.
Yeah. And I saw a colleague of mine used in a presentation he did, saying, I think it was 78% of CMOs and above do not trust the data.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's the challenge, if we're gathering all this data and they don't trust it to make decisions, so they make decisions on their gut feeling and the weather and I don't know what the coffee grinds tell them, then all the data gathering is just a cost.
Yeah.
Right? So it's actually not contributing to the business, except that it's burning money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's talk a bit about having the customer at the decision table. How do you, honestly, how do you see this happening in 10, 20 years from now? I mean, what should happen so that the companies will end up behaving differently and actually listening to their customers, but also acting on what they are finding out from their customers?
So this is going to be a very long vision, but in reality, it's in a lot of cases. So with the lack of data transparency and all the legal stuff going on, it will be your VA talking to my AI. So it won't necessarily, it would be even so your virtual assistant will simply go out and order you the shoes that you need from my online store, and you'll be, oh, that's nice shoes, that's just the shoes I needed. And I know. So a lot of this will kind of be having a virtual version of you actually communicating or pushing directly on the market. So the sadness of it is basically, to a large extent, removing the humans from the equation. Yeah, I think it's a scary bit. But we see this already too. We had this, I like we had the conductor here and talking about a lot of things like a symphony orchestra and how it works. But I think that it's a nice metaphor, but in relations to communication and marketing and people, I think we're much more of a jazz band. We're a jazz band in the sense that there's so many things going on at the same time. We're not a symphony orchestra because we're not in a protected environment. Yeah. There's so much different stuff going on that we have to adapt to. So the different parts of the thing will need to compete on their ability to play together, to jam. So if the market changes over here, then we have to put more emphasis on the trumpet because that's kind of what we need right now. And then we have to, so it's not about executing a very narrowly scripted situation.
So it's not classical music, it's more like impro jazz, right?
Exactly. So I think that's kind of the image I see in relation to Oscar moving forward, because there will be so much stuff going on that there's too much, we're not controlling the room, that everything will be a question about how fast can we adapt to the next thing.
Yeah. I have, on this, building on top of this, I have a sensitive question for e-commerce, the smaller e-commerce companies. Do you think there is still room to grow on e-commerce right now? Because we are seeing this consolidation happening, and we are seeing that many e-commerce companies can't survive without going through retail distribution, going through building their own points of presence in the bricks and mortar.
So besides being a data nerd, I'm also sitting as chairman of the board for another company that specializes in e-commerce supply chain. So and I think especially for the smaller e-commerce players, a lot of them focuses too much on generating sales and too little on the business processes.
Yep.
So my answer is there is still room for the small players if they change the focus from getting the next customer to how much they earn on the customer.
Yeah.
So instead of the turnover as the criteria of success, then focusing on the margin.
Yeah, which means eventually customer lifetime value, right?
Yeah. So going in and focusing on how much do we earn, what is the customer, the lifetime profit.
Yeah.
So not just looking, and so average order value sucks. It's a horrible term. It should be average order margin.
Yeah.
Right. So how much did we make on the order? Not how big an order was it? Because it's like, oh yeah, we sold for 1 million, boss, and it's going to cost us 500,000 extra to get it. Get it out there, right?
Yeah.
So having this focus on
profitability. And that's thing. I think it requires a lot of courage and wisdom from a smaller e-commerce player, because that also means they need to shift their mentality on the long term, because most of them are on the short term. Have we made money? They're if you look at what they are measuring, yesterday's sales, I mean revenue that we've made yesterday, which is a stupid metric because it's just a lag indicator. Right?
So it's really about changing the mentality from yesterday's turnover is operating capital. Yeah. So we can, we can buy some more stuff and then we can sell something tomorrow. Yeah. But it's not focusing on saying, are we actually profitable? Yeah. So the conscious focus on that, I think, it's going to make it be the difference for having that shift now. Yeah. We've been having good years in e-com.
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone now. You can even see it on all the VC startups, right? They had this like, look at how much you're growing. Look at how much you're growing. You need to grow 200% next year. They were like, yeah, cool, we're growing. And then suddenly from one day to the next, are you making money? It's like, no, you never told us to make money. Well, then you're out.
Yeah, which eventually means maturity in the market, which leads to good things down the line, even though some companies will suffer, some of them will go out, but hopefully they will learn and we will have a much more healthier environment down the line. Last question for you, Steen. What's the number one tip that you would be giving to a mid-size retailer? Most of our audience are this kind of people, in order to improve their customer lifetime value based on what you knew. What would you do if you would be in their board with all this huge knowledge?
Segmentation. So we're really going in and saying, if you have this RFM model, that's super, but actually going in and adding extra dimensions to that as well, saying, could it be because... My best example is actually we've been looking for some customers. We've been analyzing the abandoned basket things, and I think that the philosophy here is saying nobody abandons the basket. People abandon the products in the basket. So people abandon products. They don't care about the basket, right? So it's really about taking that step further and saying, okay, it's good we have long-term customers that are our what do you call them, super sweethearts or
Yeah, soulmates.
soulmates, yeah. But what do the soulmates have in the basket? What
they're buying.
Yeah, what are they buying? What the hell are the products that are actually selling? Are we making a profit on that? Because it's like, yeah, we have a soulmate, they keep coming back every time we have a sale on this product where we're not making any money.
Yeah.
It's like the ex-girlfriend who every time she's in town, she contacts you and you take her out for dinner for old time's sakes and you always end up with the tab.
Love it.
Yeah.
Steen, thanks a lot, man.
Sure, you're welcome.
For doing this. Looking forward to meeting you again. And thanks a lot for watching.
Yeah.
See you at the next episode of the CVO Live.